In this short video, we're going to learn a self-mobilization program for your foot. So for each of the mobilizations we're going to be demonstrating, I'm going to have Jessie first demonstrate on the foot model, and then she will demonstrate on her own foot. So the first exercise we're going to do is you're just going to be moving your toes up and down in relationship to each other. So she's going to grab the big toe and the second toe and just move one down and the other up and then switch. So it's a mobilization, there's no holds, and then she's going to grab second and third and do the same thing and work her way down the foot. Pretty simple. So now she's going to show you on her foot what this looks like. So she's going to grab her big toe and her second toe and then just really, you can kind of go for it on this one. Do not hurt yourself. Please be mindful. But if it's not painful, really go ahead and kind of go for a big range of motion in your toes. So she's just working her way down the foot. And we're going to just show one foot in this sequence. So when you learn the sequence, of course, you will be doing both feet. The next little sequence we're going to show you is tractioning the toes. This feels fantastic. So she's going to grab the big toe. She's going to pull toward the end of the big toe from the base to the tip, tractioning the toe, and then she just gives it a little wiggle. And she's going to work her way down the toes, and you're going to hold still the balls of the feet because we really want to separate the toe from the ball of the foot. So she's going to traction, wiggle. On her foot, it looks like this. So she grabs the big toe, she pulls out, tractioning, and then she gives it a little wiggle. Feels fantastic. Move on to the second toe. You grab the base of the toe, pull out, tractioning, give it a wiggle. Move to the third, grab the base and the third ball of the foot, so you're separating them. Beautiful. So really give it a little traction. You're going to pull from the base to the end, give it traction and wiggle. Pull from the base, slide your fingers out to the end, give it traction and wiggle. Going on. The next little sequence, we're going to move the metatarsals. So they tend to get glommed onto each other. That's a technical term. So you're going to grab the first metatarsal. Those are those long bones. Jessie, can you just show them really clearly what a metatarsal bone is? Good. So the long bones that communicate with your toes. So she's going to grab, and that's a beautiful angle, if you could just hold it there. She's going to grab the first metatarsal and the second, and she's going to move the first, hold the second still, move the first one up and down. Then she's going to hold the first one still and move the second one up and down. She's going to move her hands, so she's holding the second and third. She's going to hold the second still and move the third up and down. And then she's going to hold the third metatarsal still and move the second up and down. And we're not going to show you all the toes, but you work your way all the way through the foot. On her actual foot, it's going to look like this. She's going to grab a little further away from the ball. So really kind of in the middle of those long bones. She's going to hold the first still and move the second up and down on it. Let's see if I can come in even a little closer. And then she's going to hold the second still. Or did you just do that one? Hold the first still and move the second up and down, then hold the second still and move the first up and down. And then work your way down the foot. Hold the second still and move the third up and down. Hold the third still, move the second up and down. She's going to move to the third and fourth. Hold the third still, move the fourth up and down. Hold the fourth still, move the third up and down. And finally move to the fourth and fifth. And hold the fourth still, move the fifth up and down, and hold the fifth still and move the fourth up and down. Great. Moving on, we are going to pull our toes together and apart. So pretty simple. You're going to pull the big toe away from the midline of the foot and the second toe toward the midline of the foot. So you're pulling them away. So on this one, you're really moving the toes, not so much the metatarsals. There you go. And then you're going to move to second and third. And again, don't hurt yourself, but you know, you can pull on your toes on this one. Give it some good range of motion and just work your way down the foot. So she's moving them away from each other and together, not up and down. It's a little bit hard to tell on the camera. And then finally go to the fifth and the first and move them away from each other and together. Not the metatarsals so much. If you can hold those still, it's much easier on your real foot because it doesn't move that much. And then second and fourth, pull them away and together. Beautiful. So just some variations. Now she's going to show you what it looks like on her foot. Okay, let's get her foot in the camera. All right, there you go. So she's just going to pull second and first apart. And you can kind of pull on these. It should feel, you know, it should feel good. That's your guide. But if it feels good, go for it on this one. Really pull them apart. A little more energy, Jessie. Yeah. Good. And now first and fifth, really kind of pull them apart. Yes. And second and fourth. Beautiful. Okay, the next one we're going to do is we're going to learn to dome the transverse arch. And this one, if you have what's called metatarsalgia, where you have pain in the balls of your feet, especially the second and third and fourth, really pay attention to this one. This one is for you. So first, Jessie is going to just dome the foot by sort of pulling the first and the, she's exaggerating. That's great. I want her to exaggerate. Your foot's not going to move that much. But you see how she's creating a dome in the forefoot? That's your transverse arch. So she's pulling the fifth and the first metatarsals down and together. Now we're going to add a component. As she does that, with her other hand, she's going to push up from underneath on the second, third, and fourth base, balls of the feet, or metatarsal heads. Balls of the feet, metatarsal heads, same thing. Can you show them from underneath the foot actually what that looks like? Good. So she's still doming, but now she's pushing up from underneath. Now she's going to show you on her actual foot. And this one feels fantastic. I probably say that about all of them, but it's true. They all feel fantastic. So first, she's just doming the foot, pulling the first metatarsal and the fifth toward each other, creating that transverse arch, which you can see really well. Now she's going to add a component. She's still going to do that. She's going to push up from underneath, and you should see on the top of your foot the knuckles of 2, 3, and 4 popping as she pushes up from underneath. Going on, we're going to take our metatarsals and just move them together and apart. So if you have a neuroma, pay attention to this one. This one's really important for you. A neuroma is a compression issue between the metatarsals. So first, she's going to push all the metatarsals together from the outside, kind of compressing them, and then she's going to pull them apart. And your foot's not going to move that much. So that's a big exaggeration of what to expect. So she's going to keep moving in, compressing and decompressing. Okay, now she's going to show you on her own foot. So it's going to look like, and this should feel good again, she just pushes in from the outside and then decompresses by pulling them apart. Push in and decompress. Okay. This next one is also for people with neuromas. So remember, neuromas are a compression issue between your metatarsals. So what she's going to do is she's going to come in with one finger from above and one finger from below. And a side view would be good, Jessie, if possible. And it's as if we're trying to create space between those bones, and your intention is the fingers are actually going to meet. They're not. They're not even going to come close to meeting, but that's what you're thinking. So you're going to kind of push in and release that compression and just work your way down the space between the first and second metatarsals. So you're working your way down the space, telling yourself, I want my fingers to meet in the middle. I'm spreading those toes apart. They're not going to even come close to meeting. Move on to the second and third, and you're going to do the same thing. So she's pushing in from above and up from below, and then just kind of compress, decompress, compress, decompress, and work your way down the metatarsal from the, what we call the metatarsal head to the base. So now she's going to show you what that looks like on her foot. And again, remember, your fingers aren't really going to make that look fantastic, Jessie. So she's going to push in from above and below, kind of working her fingers as if she's trying to get them to meet, creating space between those bones. Another implement you might want to try is a pencil eraser. Works great on this one. So she's just going to work her way from the what's called the metatarsal head, or the balls of the feet, down to the base of these bones, really pushing hard from above and below. And going on. The next little sequence, we're going to learn to move our forefoot separate from the rear foot. And we're going to first grab the rear foot. So let me have a side profile on this one. And you're going to grab the rear foot. So actually what I need is your left hand on the rear foot, holding it still. So your left hand on the rear foot, actually on the midfoot, holding it still. Good. Good. So kind of like a claw, like a, yeah. And then we're going to, she's going to take the forefoot and kind of pull it away from the rear foot a little bit to create some space. So traction it away from the heel just to create the space. Yes, beautiful. Okay. And then she's going to angle the ball of the foot down away, so if she were upright, down toward the floor. And it's not really going to move that much, not from the toe. Grab onto the ball of the foot. It's hard to show. Okay, yes, that's a beautiful angle. Okay, and so with your own hands, as you're doing this, you're going to do whatever really works for the foot. She's just doing this to demonstrate that we're moving the forefoot down and up, independent of the rear foot, and it's not really going to move that much. Now she's going to show you on her own foot. Okay, so she's going to grab onto the midfoot to hold it still, like a claw. Beautiful. And then she's going to push the ball of the foot down and up. So the intention is moving that big long bone, the metatarsal, down and up, and she's just going to work her way down the foot from the first metatarsal to the second to the third, and you could also move the whole forefoot as a complex. Staying on the theme of the forefoot, we're now going to move it in what's called the frontal or coronal plane. You don't need to know that. So if you could actually face the foot toward me, and I'm just going to get you in the camera here. Okay, so she's going to hold the midfoot still, and she's going to grab the whole forefoot, create some traction. And first she's going to move the forefoot away from the midline, so away from the big toe. Beautiful. It's not going to move that much, so, and no holds. It's going to move in and out. Just move in and out. Good. And then to move it in, it's actually better to grab it from the other side. So our intention on this holding from this side is moving away from the midline of the body. Now she's going to, again, traction away from the heel to create space. And she's going to move in toward the midline of the body. Okay, and your foot's not going to necessarily move that much. This is an exaggeration to give you an idea. Okay, and then she's going to do on her own foot. So she's grabbing the midfoot to hold it still, and she's going to just spring the forefoot away from the midline of the body, away from the big toe, toward the pinky toe. She's really moving the metatarsals. And then she's just going to move to the outside of the foot. Beautiful angle, Jessie. And she's going to just spring it in, making sure that she's creating some traction away from the heel at all times to create that space. Good. We're going to move on to what's called, actually, that was the transverse plane. Don't worry about it. This is the frontal plane, but don't worry about the names. We're going to show you on the foot what you're doing. So she's going to hold the midfoot still again. And this time she's going to, again, always grab the forefoot and grab it from the outside. That's okay. When you actually do it, you'll be grabbing from the inside. But just to demo, she's going to create that traction, pull the forefoot away from the heel bone to create space. And she's going to spring the first metatarsal down and the fifth up. So she's rotating the foot. She's springing it, creating that space with the traction. Beautiful. And then we're going to go the other way. So she's going to traction again the forefoot. Nice contortion, Jessie. And she's going to, and hold that cuneiform still if you could, please. So we really are just moving the metatarsals. Beautiful. And she's going to spring the first metatarsal up as she springs the fifth down. Okay, now we're going to show you on her foot. So the best angle for this one, I think, is if you rotate the base of your foot toward me. I think this is going to show the best. Beautiful. So she's fixating the midfoot. With her hand, she's going to grab the forefoot. So this is going to be with intention on, she's going to first traction, so pull the whole forefoot away from the heel, and she's going to spring the first metatarsal down and the fifth up. Just twisting the foot. Give it a nice spring. Good. Now switch your right, or switch hands, whatever's going to work. So she's doing a little bit of contortions just so you can see what she's doing. You will figure out for yourself what's going to work best, but she's tractioning the forefoot away from the heel and she's springing the first metatarsal up and the fifth down, twisting the foot. Beautiful. We're going to go on. Now she's going to dome the midfoot. First she's going to show you with a ball. For this one, I don't think we need to demonstrate on the skeleton. We can just go, it's so easy, from a side profile. So we're trying to lift the midfoot bones, which on many people like to collapse. And even if you have a very high arch, you may have a rigid foot. So this is good whether you have a collapsed foot or a rigid foot. She's going to push up with the ball from underneath. And she's going to traction her foot up and over the ball, trying to dome her foot, round it over the ball. And she's pushing up pretty hard from underneath, and this should feel fantastic. If you don't have a ball available, you can use your fingers pushing up from underneath. So she's pushing up from underneath. Yeah, there you go. Beautiful angle. She's tractioning the forefoot out and away from the heel and pushing up from underneath. And now we're going to show you more specifically how to push up on specific bones. So for this one, move the ball out of the way, please, and grab the skeleton. And hold the skeleton with the base facing toward me. And you're going to find the bone that's right in front of your heel bone. So it's the cuboid, Jessie. On the outside of the foot, right in front of the heel bone. I'm going to try and zoom in if I can. So if you could move your finger away and just point to the bone, the cuboid, so the one, right in front of the calcaneus. No, you're on the inside of the foot, sorry. Go to the outside of the foot. There you go. So on the pinky toe side. And what she's going to be doing, this bone really likes to collapse to the inside. If you can show them that, push it down on the inside. That's the outside, so push it down on the inside. It likes to collapse like that. We want to lift the inside of that bone. So you're going to put your finger on the bottom of the bone on the inside, and you're going to push up from underneath, and it feels fantastic. And now if you could show them the navicular, which is just the bone now on the inside of the foot, right in front of the heel bone. So it's right in front of the heel bone. Yep.
Am I right?
You're on it. You got it. But don't hide it with your finger. First, just point to it. Beautiful. So with her left hand, she is pointing to it. Tap your left finger on it. Tap, tap, that one. You're going to push up on that bone from underneath. And this one, your body's going to tell you. For some people, you'll need to push up on the inside. For some, it's more on the outside. Or just in general, push up underneath that bone. So push up from underneath, trying to lift that bone up off the ground. Beautiful. Now let's show it on your foot. Okay, so the first one is pushing up under the cuboid. So the outside of the foot, right in front of the heel bone. And if you could, with your other hand, hold the fifth metatarsal still. So you're really pushing up separate. There you go. And that should feel fantastic. Now moving to the navicular, the bone right in front of your heel bone on the inside of the foot. First, just do a general push up on the bone. Okay. And then I'm going to even have Jessie go ahead and push up more on the outside of the bone. So you're just pushing up on the outside of the bone, like right at the arch of the foot. That's the inside of the bone. Push up on the outside of the bone. Yep. And then go ahead and push up on the inside of the bone, and your body will tell you, well, like sort of the middle felt best or the outside felt best. And we're going to go on. So now we're going to move on to the rear foot. The calcaneus or heel bone, and we're going to move it. I'm going to just show all three planes and then we'll show it on your foot. So if you could give me a side profile to begin with, and let's have the foot oriented. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so she's going to grab onto the calcaneus and the midfoot. The hand on the midfoot is to hold it still, really on the midfoot, not forefoot, midfoot. Yeah, come in like a claw. With her hand on the heel bone, she's going to pull down on the back of the heel bone and then lift it up. So what she's really trying to do is move the heel bone, and it's not going to move very much, but so this is a gross exaggeration. Beautiful, Jessie. She's going to move it independent of the rest of the foot, and that's just beautiful. Don't expect it to move that much. Let's show the frontal plane. So if you could give me a back view of the foot. And she's on the heel bone. So back view, please. Posterior view of the foot. So that's bottom. I want the back. Okay. And she's going to grab onto the calcaneus and again hold that midfoot still with her other hand. And she's going to move the calcaneus. She's going to crank it out and in. And it's not going to go very far, but good. Good. Staying on the same back view, so give me a little more in. You're showing out really well. Give me in. Yes. Okay, what some people think of as pronation, supination, not really correct terminology, but it's really, she's inverting and everting. Inverting and everting. Okay, beautiful. Now let's show same view, internal and external rotation. So she's going to, yes, she's going to move the bone in and out. Beautiful. Okay. Now she's going to show you on her foot. So first we're going to do up and down. So she's going to grab, hold the midfoot still, and with it she's going to grab really well onto, yeah, beautiful. Her foot actually moves really well. So do you see how her heel bone is moving independently up and down? Beautiful. Now, I think the base of the foot is a good view for inversion and eversion. So she's still holding the midfoot still, and she's going to invert. So she, that's, okay, that's external and internal. Yes, so she's going to twist it in and twist it out. Yes, twist it in and twist it out. Yep, good. Now she's going to do external and internal rotation that she was trying to do before. There you go. So she's going to move it in and move it out. So we can see that Jessie could use a little bit of work and moving the heel out, but that's okay. She's actually got really good motion going on. So now we're going to put, we've moved the forefoot and the rear foot in all planes of motion, and now we're going to put the two together and move them in opposition of each other. And I'm going to have Jessie show all three planes first on the skeleton. Okay, so the first plane, and we're going to just really exaggerate. So if there's any way you could hold the heel from the back, the other, that's great. So first you're going to move the forefoot and heel in opposition to each other. Forefoot goes up and heel goes down. And when I say down, I mean the front of the heel bone goes down. Good. And then they both move in opposition. So beautiful. Up and down. Good. Nice. Okay, now we're going to show maybe same view. We're going to actually face me. That would be, yeah, that's beautiful. Beautiful. Just like that, we're going to show in and out. So she's going to move the forefoot in toward the midline and then rotate the heel. So the front of the heel is facing out. Good. You can see she's exaggerating. So you're sort of opening the inside of the foot and then you're opening the outside, the bones on the outside of the foot. Good. So they move in opposition to each other. When the front of the heel bone faces out, the forefoot faces in, and vice versa. And now we're going to show the twist. For the twist, give me the foot facing on toward me. On toward me. Good. So she's going to rotate the whole forefoot. So again, you want to create that traction by pulling the forefoot away from the heel. And she's going to twist the bottom of the forefoot out as she twists the heel in. And then she's going to oppose, creating that traction all of the time. So they move in opposition to each other. Beautiful. Thank you very much, Jessie.